Okay, hello and welcome to sort of a new video. We're not going to be demoing a machine today, but we are unboxing the new Pfaff Creative Icon 2 that just arrived. So the impetus for this video is I just went to Pfaff Convention 2022, which was down in Arizona, and they unveiled the Creative Icon 2, which those of you in the know will know we've been anxiously waiting for over a year because its production was delayed with everything that has happened in the world. But it is finally here. I spent 3.5 days down there playing with the machine, learning about the machine, and so now I've come back and we've actually gotten ours that we're going to get to put out on the floor and demo. So you're going to come along on this journey with me. I know what to expect, you guys don't, but I will be explaining a little bit of the physical differences between this machine and the Creative Icon 1, and we'll just have fun looking at all the fancy new features. All right. Now, there are 3 limited edition colors that you can get, and I believe I'm unboxing a Purple Aurora, which is actually the standard, which I like because it was the best color. It was my favorite. It's a very muted, tasteful purple. It's not very bright because purple can be a very polarizing color in the sewing world. Here we've got all of our accessories. I am going to jump past those to get right to the machine, but we do have our user's guide, the embroidery printout, knee lift, all of those normal accessories that you usually get with a top-of-the-line. Top-of-the-line machines kit you out with basically everything that you might need. So we'll just set that aside. And yes, I was right, it is a Purple Aurora. Oh, hold on. There we go. Okay, so to speak a little bit about the colors, the limited edition colors are a sort of tasteful teal, a bright white, and then a very interesting gray fabric with some sort of textural element, this gray fabric right here. That is actually the one that we have out on our demo floor right now, and so you can go touch the gray fabric and see if the texture does it for you. I personally love the sort of shiny, sleek look of the purple here. Okay, so we've arrived at the first physical difference between this and the Creative Icon, which is the power cord. So the power cord now has a big chunky box in the middle, which is the power supply, rather like your laptop cords had that chunky box in the middle. So what this is it's a power receiving and distributing unit. This takes more power than the Creative Icon 1 because there is a lot more computer in here. And so they had the choice of either putting this pretty heavy box inside the machine and making it heavier, or moving it out and making it part of the power cord. And I actually appreciate them putting it on the power cord and not in the machine, because I get to move the machines in and out of the store. And so I like that I can distribute that weight. So that means that the side that you plug in is this circular port. There we go. Okay, my first discovery. You actually have to have it oriented a certain way, even though it's a circle. The pins are not symmetric. Okay, and then the second half of the power cord goes from the block to the wall. Okay, so even before I turn the machine on, we're going to talk about physical differences to the machine. So first of all, it's a statement piece now, is how I would phrase it. This is a classy machine. It's got a lot of silver accents on it, functional silver ruler down here. As well, I don't know if you saw it when I was taking it out of the box, but there is a beautiful Pfaff logo in silver on the back. So your guests that walk in and watch you sew will be treated to a view of that. Okay, the hand wheel also has a better rubber grip for easier turning, and the screen, this you can't see, you'll have to take my word for it, it actually has a little hooky point behind the screen so that I can rest my hand there when I am tapping on the screen. Now, the difference that all of us are most excited about is they brought back stitch categories under the lid. That was missing from the Creative Icon, and it was sorely missed, so Pfaff listened to our feedback, and now we have a much easier view of our overarching categories when we're selecting stitches. Okay, well, now that we've gone through most of the physical changes to the machine, we're going to power it on and look at the new user interface, which is much better in my opinion. While it boots up, I will mention there's one more physical difference, which is a projector button now down on the sew head by the reverse button. We will get there, if not in this video, in another, talking about the new projector system on the machine. But that is one new button we have. Now, for those of you not familiar with the Creative Icon 1, I will mention it still has this really nice integrated thread stand, very tall, gives your thread more time to relax as it comes off the spool. Both spool stands flip up. You have one that can sit horizontal, one that only sits vertical, and then that horizontal one can opt up to be a vertical one as well. Okay, here we are on the new screen. So it is simplified, easier to read. That was what they were going for. So we have the simple choice, sewing, embroidery, or access to the My SewNet blog. You'll notice they got rid of some of the icons down here. No more extra clutter down here. It's nice and clean. So I go into sewing. So here is the screen. It's going to look very familiar to those of you who have a Creative Icon, but there's one major change I'll mention, and then we'll leave the rest of the detail for a later video. But I want you to see that when I open up any sort of sub-menu, there are now word identifiers to go along with the icons, and that is a huge help to those of us who are Pfaff immigrants who came to Pfaff after learning another machine. We didn't have a Pfaff 10 years ago. We haven't learned all these icons, and it really helps navigate when you are new to Pfaff. Okay, so we're going to set this aside, and now I'm going to unbox the embroidery module. Okay. Cardboard. Okay. So Pfaff has always given people their embroidery modules in a case, and I love that because you're gonna need it to transport it. Okay, so first thing that pops out at me as I open this case is the hoop. So this is the largest hoop, and it is actually new that with the Creative Icon 2 that they actually give it to you with the machine. With the Creative Icon 1, it was an optional additional accessory. It is now bundled in. This thing is huge. It is almost 14 inches by 14 inches. It is actually 14 inches by 13 3/4 inches. If you are a millimeters thinker, this one then is 360 by 350 millimeters. So you'll also notice, if you're not a longtime Pfaff user, you might be kind of confused by the fact that there are two attachment points. This is a dual-sided hoop, and so for really big embroideries, it is actually set up so that you can do what are called split embroideries, where you embroider half of it, and then the machine says, okay, flip your hoop around. You flip your hoop around, and it gets to the other half, and that is how it is able to do these gigantic embroideries. So we are really excited that that now comes with the machine. Okay, what else do we have? This is the standard. This used to be the largest one that came with it. This is 360 by 260. That's gonna be 14 inches by, I'm gonna ballpark about 10 inches. Don't know it off the top of my head. Okay, here we are. So we'll undo those protective straps, pop her out. The case itself is a nice styrofoam, and so this is going to protect your embroidery module. We have 2 more hoops. We've got our 260 by 200, so we'll call that about a 10 by 7-inch hoop. Again, that's me eyeballing it. And we've got our smallest hoop. This one's 120 by 120. That's probably about 5 inches by 5 inches. Set that aside. Okay. Now, to put the embroidery module on, I do take off the table. And we're just gonna slide that on. Perfect. So you don't have to be embroidering when you use this module, and you can see it essentially makes a really nice big table for when you're sewing. And so most of us just leave this on all the time, and we don't necessarily use our accessory tray. Okay, now if I was going to embroider, we'll swap over to embroidery mode so you can see that. Okay, calibrating. Now that whole function I just did, where I swapped to embroidery mode and I calibrated the embroidery unit, that is one thing that you'll be able to do with your voice control. You'll be able to say, you know, smart device, whichever one you end up having, calibrate embroidery unit, change to embroidery mode, stuff like that. So there's our embroidery screen. We're gonna get into this later in another video. Okay, so we've unboxed the major parts of the machine. We'll just mention if there's any other interesting accessories. This is the standard set of accessories that come with all top of the lines. Again, they really kit you out with your feet. We've got our embroidery or free motion foot, buttonhole foot, bunch of bobbins. They do give you usually 9 bobbins, which is nice because most machines give you 4. Spool cap, sample needles, seam ripper. What I'm interested in is all these feet. So we've got our sideways motion for all of the big stitches that this machine does. And this machine has a ton of stitches that are sideways motion, which means that they are wider than 9 millimeters. We've also got our 1A and our 2A. We've got a blind hem foot, a 1/4 inch foot, another alternate embroidery foot, and then of course a straight stitch plate and an embroidery bobbin case to give you that higher tension for embroidery. The rest of it is just tools of various kinds, but we are most excited about plates and feet here because those are the things that are most expensive when you come back to buy additional ones, and so getting them all included is a big deal. Okay, one more thing before we go. We have unboxed everything that comes with the Creative Icon 2, but I wanted to show you the Creative Embellishment attachment because I got so excited about it at Pfaff Convention. This does not come standard, it's an additional accessory, but it's another one of those cool things that no other brand is doing. This lets you embroider with ribbon and bead and yarn. They had previously released the Creative Ribbon attachment, which could do ribbon, but this one is new and improved. It takes a lot of the lessons they learned from the ribbon attachment, and they improved the ribbon use within this attachment, and then they also made it able to do beads and yarn. So I want to show you what it looks like so that hopefully you get hyped up about one of the demos that we will be doing during our open house, in which I will be demoing the attachment. So we'll take a look at what's in here. Okay. So here's the attachment itself. It is a big blocky cylinder with 2 rings, one of which that spins and directs where the yarn or beads are going. Back here is where you mount a really big bobbin that they're calling reels because they are comically large to call a bobbin. But you get this bobbin winding tray. Now, they tell me that this is better than what came with the ribbon attachment. I never was here to demo the ribbon attachment, so I wouldn't know any better, but apparently this is a much better system. You get a little pin that helps you twist and put the yarn or bead or what have you on there. And then once you have put that on there, you mount this to the back and you put an amount of tension on it with the little tensioner here. That will control how fast it's able to unspool itself. And then the whole thing gets mounted onto the machine. It's like a really big presser foot, and it has a very simple system. Instead of having your normal shank, you take that whole shank off, you put on a specialized shank, and it just slips over the top. So it's very easy to attach despite how complex the whole thing looks when it's in the box. Okay. Now this is the additional portion. This is the ribbon attachment, and you can see how sort of unadorned it is. It's very basic looking. The attachment that's actually on here is the bead and yarn one, and it has a channel for bead and yarn, and that is what is so distinct about this. Okay, so that is your sneak peek at this really cool attachment. I hope that you will look for our video later on what this looks like when it's working. And if we're really lucky, you'll come in and visit me during our demo days during the first 2 weeks of our open house in April, and you'll actually come play with it with me. That will be announced in an email coming out later because it is not going to be in the mailer that should be hitting your mailboxes any days now, but watch your email boxes. There we go. So thank you for coming to this unboxing. It was very exciting for us, and we hope it gets you excited to come in and hang out with us.